Tom Murphy's Atlanta Falcons got a big-time divisional win against the New Orleans Saints. Props to Atlanta yesterday, Tom. It was a game that got dicey there for a sec, but they got it done, so congrats to you. Want to start out by saying that. But let's talk some Arkansas football with you. That was a game that Arkansas's offense and Mississippi State's defense, strength on strength, right? Top 5 in both rushing offense for Arkansas football and rushing defense for Mississippi State. How did you think Kendall Briles managed the game? They get over 200 rushing yards against one of the best rushing defenses in college football.
Well, you gave me a lot to dissect there. I'll tell you this. It's always a great day when we beat the Saints. But have no fear, Cowboys fans. The Falcons are headed in next weekend, so you'll get back on track. I thought that Arkansas, their game plan was very, very solid, both sides of the ball. And I think it was very productive for them that they were coming off of a bye week. I think if this had been part of that grind, toward the back end of that grind, like the Auburn game, this would have been a very hard game to win. And as it was, I thought the first 2 series of the game were so critical that they kept Mississippi State from getting anything going. That Will Rogers was 0 for 4. He was just a little overhyped, a little hot and high on a couple of passes over the middle. And so keeping them off the board early, and then the pick came on possession 3, and then the missed field goal. So, I mean, they were dodging bullets left and right, and they should have scored a little bit more during that time. But it all wound up working out. They overcame a lot of penalties, and, you know, you're sitting here at 6 wins, and, I mean, it's very, very clear to everyone that the players believe in what Sam Pittman is doing, that the trajectory of the program has turned. And now it's a matter of taking those next couple of steps, you know, bulking up, getting some like big time DNs that can help you with the pass rush and restocking the O-line and those kind of things. And I'm going off onto a long tangent, but if you're a Razorback fan today, you're very happy that the team has got 6 wins and really on the very brink of having 7. That Ole Miss game could have gone either way, and heading down to Baton Rouge, where it's never easy.
Tom, you mentioned the pass rush. Arkansas had a pretty good, successful first half defensively against Will Rogers, and he kind of carved him up in the second. We've had a lot of texters and callers this morning that are advocating for more blitzing and getting more pressure. What do you think changed in the second half, and how does Arkansas combat it in these final 3 games to kind of make sure the defense is more consistent?
Well, it's a risky proposition if you blitz, because if you bring an extra person, then there's going to be some space. You know, the linebacker level where you can dump the ball to tight ends or backs, or you've left someone in man coverage, or a tight end could go down a seam against a safety. So you've given up something if you blitz and don't get home and don't make the throw come out quicker than they want. And I just think that Mississippi State saw what Arkansas was allowing in that game, and they got to some of the pockets on the middle and deep middle, and particularly right there at the end. That Austin Williams throw could have been a game changer. If they make the field goal and win in overtime, then that's a critical play they gave up. So I thought the drop 8 helped them pretty well in that game. Grant Morgan spied on that one play, and usually he described this. Usually it's the linebacker who comes off on a broken play and pressures the quarterback. In that case, he didn't. The nickelback did, and he thinks Will Rogers didn't realize he was there and got the pick. Mm-hmm. When they went to man coverage, if you'll remember, a deep ball to Mekhi Polk, he got by Jaden Johnson, the nickel guy, and I think it was the biggest play Mississippi State's had all year, 42-yarder. So, hey, look, I thought they hung on and did what they needed to do on defense, even though it wasn't pretty at times. And they're going to have to come up with a different plan for LSU for sure to be able to stop the run more.
Yeah. Tom, let's go back to the beginning of the ball game, because they ran the double pass twice but opened the game with it. Clearly, this is something they've been working on for a while through the bye week that they wanted to try early. They won the toss, elected to go on offense. They wanted to make a statement early. What were your thoughts as Arkansas opened up with a gimmick or a trick play with the double pass on the first snap of the game?
Well, I just like it because what that does during your bye week is that it excites the players. Because when I played and we did things like that, we're like, oh, heck yeah, this is going to work. And Sam Pittman was so honest in the post game that, man, I just thought we're going to win the toss, we're going to fair catch the opening kick, and here we go, we're going to get the ball on the left hash, and it was open. Yeah. It's just that Treylon Burks is not a quarterback, and as much as he repped that in practice, dropped a dime on Devion Warren, in a game it's a different circumstance. And I want to say there might have been a little pressure there, and it's a different deal if you know how to step into a throw and do all those things the quarterback does than it is to do it on game day. And, the Devion Warren pass, that was a little bit better. Yeah. And by the way, I liked all this. I liked the way they used Treylon in the run game. It's those kind of things that help you gain a little bit of an edge against a real tough run team. And if you're just trying to do your normal stuff, sometimes they've schemed that up. And so I think going off schedule a little bit and trying those things helped Arkansas open some things up. I think the cutback lanes were pretty good in this game. And when at the end of the day, they rushed for over 200 yards against them, that's a win in my eyes.
And I was talking with Ty about this before the show. You mentioned getting the ball in Burks' hands. Obviously, he's your best, most dynamic offensive player, so the more you can get it in Treylon Burks' hands, the better your offense is going to go. But does it make you anxious at all about the more you expose him out there, either as a passer or lining him up at tailback? Does that worry you that maybe a defensive end or a lineman might get a hold of him and it could cause some harm there? Because that's the only thing that makes me anxious is – he is your best player, and you want him to touch the ball more, but you put him in some spots where some of those guys that weigh 300 could get a hold of him.
Yeah, there's always that risk with anything you do. Devion Warren could have gotten crushed on his deal when he threw it. But Treylon Burks is a big boy, and, he got pushed out of bounds, and that almost turned into a bad scene down there on the Mississippi State sideline. So and the one thing he's got to do is sometimes right when he's going out of bounds, a yard or two away, he starts to ease up. And there were some dudes coming at him on the Arkansas sideline on one play that went for lost yardage. And I know they had a third and short play, and it went to him, or it might have been second down, and he stopped. He was going to the left edge and stopped. And there was so much pursuit. It ended up being lost yardage, and they had to punt on fourth down, I think. He's got to go a little bit harder and devote himself to whatever the hole was supposed to be sometimes.
Lunny used to do that at quarterback in the 90s to try to draw the flag. He'd run out of bounds, slam on the brakes, somebody hit him, boom, 15 yards. So maybe Burks is trying to get 15 added on somehow.
Well, but maybe he is, but it worries me sometimes when he's off the pedal there with a yard or two to go before out of bounds.
Tom Murphy with us here now on the Morning Rush. Tom, one of the things I think stands out to a lot of people, not just on this game, but how this season has progressed, something that Tommy and I were sharing, is the progression of KJ Jefferson. My goodness gracious, you go back to that Rice first half to where he is now, 19 for 23, an incredible passer rating, and he's running the ball, he's running the offense. They just look really good. Based on what you saw in that first game initially to where he is now, did you ever think that we'd see KJ still competing for what I believe he has a chance to be that third-team All-SEC quarterback?
Well, that's a great point. And, he got off to a rocky start with some high throws, much like Will Rogers did in that last game. But he got it together. And here he is, 64.2% completion. I wrote about this morning. Kendall Briles said in preseason 65% was kind of his standard. He wanted to see KJ hit. And I remember at the time thinking, that's going to be tough. But here he is on the brink. I know there's some tough games to go, but he's right there. And he is among the better quarterbacks in the SEC. And I think next season he'll go in with some pretty good hype about his dual threat capability, and I know he's taken some hits, and he didn't run quite as much in that game, but by gosh, on that one run, he got hit 2 or 3 times before he just went for it and got the first down. And that was pretty critical, because it's a little bit tougher to score from the 9, than it is the 4. And those 5 yards were hard-earned, and as Treylon Burks said, he sacrificed his body for the team on that one, and it wound up being a difference maker.
Yeah, that's one of those plays kind of like in basketball or JD Notae shooting, and you're like, no, and then it goes in. Like when he gets outside the pocket and you think he's about to take a sack, and you're like, no, and then he did that exact same thing. Tom, one of the issues that we've talked about, some of the issues on defense, pre-snap penalties for offense, they had a bunch of them, especially in the first half yesterday. What's the key to kind of cleaning that up? Because we know if you're going to win in Death Valley, you can't make those mistakes inside of Baton Rouge.
Right, and that's been a year-long deal, and I don't know if you just overnight, your guys, when you're trying to go fast, I think there's a lot of like commotion at the line. The defensive guys are still trying to get lined up and get their signals, so there's a lot of sound, and it may just be that they think they hear some kind of a sound, but that has been a consistent thing that has happened with the Rays. About 3 different guys had false starts in that game, and I know they overcame the first 2 that were like on one series, but they didn't the third, and you get behind the chains against Bama, I mean, you're going to give yourself very, very little chance. So they are a heavily penalized team, and even if you go light the last 3 games, they're still going to rank very high. I did not see on game day the Simeon Blair penalty, but at the time, it was such a huge penalty. Grant Morgan returned that interception of 11 yards to the 42. Great field position, and you can go down and score and really kind of get leverage in that game. Instead, I think he hit the receiver in the back behind the play. Really didn't need to do that, and they started deep, and they ended up punting, and that's the drive where Mississippi State went down and missed a field goal. So it could have been a huge game changer. So, and I meant to say on KJ a minute ago, I turned to Bob when Cam Little missed the field goal. I said, there's no question in my mind Mississippi State is going to score. It's a matter of how much time is going to be left on the clock. And they left him 2:22, and at that point, I felt fairly confident KJ would go lead the drive.
I know that. I think it was you that maybe asked Coach about, hey, did y'all think you were going to win? He said, of course we did. He was like, I was just messing. But I think a lot of Arkansas fans felt that same way, Tom. And we always appreciate your time, buddy. We'll get more of a preview of what the LSU Tigers have in store for Arkansas this Thursday at 7:20, my man.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I look forward to it.
Back and better than ever. A new web interface to start the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV 50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, and baseball postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.